I'm Michelle from Legal Suite, and in this webinar we're going to have a look at filtering our matters on the desktop. Now, this is a great feature as it allows you to filter matters based on various criteria, and this is particularly useful in the larger firms that have various departments and allows users to filter only the matters that are relevant to them. So, for example, if I'm a collections lady, I only want to see my own collections matters. I may want to filter that down even further. Say, for example, I'm a bond lady, but I only want to deal with Absa Bank bonds. I can filter by that exact criteria. So, our default screen in Legal Suite is to display all of your matters, whether live, archive, pending, litigation, conveyancing, all matters. And the label of the matter screen will tell you what is being displayed. So based on our default setting, I'm looking at all matters, and my matter count at the bottom is 194. So this is a really small database. I have a total of 194 matters, and that is all of my matters included. Right, so our filtering is done here at the little filtering icon. So you can either click on the little icon, alternatively you can click on the F8 button to access the filtering criteria. Right, so these are all the various criteria by which you can filter. Employee will allow you to filter by a specific user in the firm. Your matter type will allow you to filter by your matter types. That's collections, conveyancing, and so on and so forth. Document set, what document set is relevant to the matter? Is it transfers, Absa Bank bonds, High Court, RAF, and so on and so forth. Client, by a specific client. Now, please note that this is particularly important that you filter by a specific client and or matter type when drawing reports. So please do have a look at our matter reports with regards to filtering by client. Cost center in Legal Suite equals your fee earner. Branch, this is for firms that have multiple branches, so you could have your Westville branch, your Durbanville branch, your Pietermaritzburg branch, etc., etc. Group, this is if you've applied your assigned your matter to a specific group. You can then filter to show all the matters belonging to that particular group. Sheriff areas, particularly useful for the litigation and collections users. And at archive status, live, pending, or archived. Generally speaking, we like to look at our live matters because those are the ones that we're working on. If we've been doing housekeeping, we have archived or marked as pending matters that are either complete or in the process of being wound up. We also have various other filters, so you can filter by date, and you can apply further criteria to that. So if you want to filter by date, you can say instructed and then insert a date range. So your date range is today, this week, this month, this year. So for example, I would like to filter by date instructed this month. Effectively, by clicking on OK, this will show me all the instructions I have received during that particular time period. Inactive matters, this is another great filter. You can filter by matters that have had no activity in various respects, and these are the various items which have not taken place during this particular date range. So if you want to see matters that have not had, say, any file notes for the last month, you can then go and have a look and see why those matters have been dormant for that long. Conveyancing status, new instruction, amended instruction, into use. So this is generally for electronic instructions that have come through. Further electronic instructions, these are all the various electronic platforms that Legal Suite supports. So if you wanted to see, say, your Absa bonds, your F&B cancellations, etc., etc. If you wanted to filter by a particular party role, I want to filter, and you could then select what it is that the role that the party played. So you could have first defendant, second defendant, and so on and so forth. Custom filters, this would be a SQL filter if you're using extra screens, customized screens, etc., etc. Critical steps, these relate to conveyancing matters, so steps reached in the matter. So you can see here applied for rates, applied for title deeds, and so on and so forth. So by choosing one of these criteria, this will look at your reminders and it will see whether or not the matters conform to this requirement or criteria and display it or not display it accordingly. The negative value is step not reached. Show me matters that have not yet reached applied for rates clearance certificate. Stages is the litigation equivalent of the critical steps. So these are all your various stages in the litigation process, and you can select which group as well. So mine has defaulted to general collections, so I can say, right, show me all the matters that have reached, for example, summons served. So that would then look to your reminders to see whether or not you've marked the reminder as summons served. Stages reached, so that was the last stage reached. So show me matters where the last thing that was done. Stages reached means at any point this particular stage has been reached, and stages not reached is the negative value of that. Show me all the matters that have not yet reached summons served. Okay, so for the purposes of this example, I am going to look at matters for employee Michelle Bentley. Okay, now I can apply multiple criteria at once. So just applying one specific criteria, as soon as I say okay, the header of my screen will change. So I'm showing all matters, but specifically that belong to Michelle Bentley, and my number count has now changed because I've filtered out various matters. So I can now add further criteria. For example, I would like to see only matters that are using the transfers document set. So I'm effectively looking at all my transfer matters. And again, as soon as I click on OK, the heading of my screen will change. I'm looking at all matters that are transfers that belong to Michelle Bentley, and my count has changed accordingly. And again, I'm going to apply some further criteria. I would like to see only my live matters. I click on OK, and once again, my count has dropped and the heading of my screen has changed accordingly. So by applying further and further criteria, it narrows your display list further and further and further. So, for example, here's another example. I would only like to see the matters that belong to a specific fee earner, Michelle Bentley. So these are all the matters, irrespective of type, client, document set, that belong to the fee earner, Michelle Bentley. So as you can see, you can manipulate your filtering to have various outcomes. If you have filtering on and you find that you're unable to locate matters, you can simply untick everything, click on OK, and your filtering will then be removed completely and you'll be returned to all matters.